everyone knows M Night Shaymalan. If you clicked on this video, yes, you know of this man because he has some of the most recognizable films and a style that instantly pops into your mind when you hear his name. It's that softcore thriller horror movie in the PG-13 range that has a twist at the end that sometimes is amazing and also sometimes very bad. Shyamalan, though, for years has been kind of the punching bag for a lot of YouTubers and a lot of film critics as well, saying that he doesn't really know what he's doing and he's a hack. And I mean, to a certain extent, I get it. He had a stretch there for a while where he was putting out some real stinkers, but I think he deserves a lot more respect. He is one of the most interesting and unique filmmakers putting out movies right now, and he's one of a very small handful of directors who can get a project greenlit off their name alone. But I hear you say why? Why should Shyamalan, out of all directors, get a lot more respect than we're giving him? And that is because this man, yes, the same guy who wrote himself an extensive cameo where he defends Hooters, is one of the few directors who is still taking humongous risks with every film, and it's one of the rarest things to see in modern Hollywood. But real quick, let's back up to 1999. M. Night had been in the Hollywood bubble for a bit, but he broke out onto the scene with one film that set him up for life, and that was Stuart Little. Yup. He actually wrote it, and that is the classic M. Night twist I'm trying to explain to you guys, which he ended up showing off in his masterpiece, The Sixth Sense. Oh wait, that also came out in 1999, but no one really cares. Stuart Little on top all the way. The Sixth Sense is incredible. It still holds up, it's creepy, it's emotional, it's harrowing, and it's absolutely original. Watching it today, it is still such a breath of fresh air in the horror landscape, and for the next 5 years after that, he directed and wrote 3 more films that were all completely original. And that is my first big point. His films feel extremely distinct from each other, especially early on. The Village is a period piece horror mystery movie. Signs is a creepy film about a family grappling with religion, and Unbreakable is a deconstruction of the superhero genre that feels like it came out a little too early because I think its meta-contextual narrative about superheroes and how they work in society and fiction would even be better today. All of these films are creative, but they are also risky. These are films taking big swings, literally. And these are films with huge ideas, and they really are swinging for the fences, and sometimes it doesn't really work out and they end up falling on their face. And I kind of love that. That is the thing with Shyamalan that people are going to bring up. He creates incredibly unique films, but the execution might not always live up to the concept. His huge ambition with his early films early on led to a lot of critiquing of his style and especially his twists at the end of his films. Even when I was like 12 and watched The Village for the first time, I was kind of bothered at the twist ending. It felt cheap to me and took away all the horror and mystery of whatever this thing is, and like a lot of people sometimes with Shyamalan films, I had felt cheated. But at the same time, some of his twist endings, like the one at Sixth Sense, are some of the greatest ever done, so honestly, it's a huge part of his stylistic way that he constructs his films, whether you like how they're executed or not. Whether we liked it or not, this was a huge part of Shyamalan's style. It's kind of pointless to get mad at him for having a stylistic approach to filmmaking, because that's like getting mad at Wes Anderson for having people centered in his frame all the time, or David Lynch for making movies that feel like a fever dream. It's just their style, so why would you really want them to change? And then everyone critiqued him too much and he completely decided to change. This run from 2008 to 2013 is atrocious to say the least. M. Night started doing huge Hollywood blockbuster films that went away from his stylistic approach and ended up creating an unholy trilogy that has been mocked for years. And honestly, since there's always going to be Avatar fans, since it's probably a top 5 animated series of all time, his name will always be associated with that disaster, so that's honestly just very unfortunate. But these huge budgets and expectations took away what made him such a special director, and why right now he's doing better than ever, and that's because he is super creative and he is constantly taking risks. Instead of doing those huge Hollywood blockbuster films that he did from 2008 to 2013 that felt soulless and empty, he now makes films on low budgets that make their budget back instantly because his name sells the project and they don't have to make $500 million to be profitable. Shyamalan is doing what we have been begging filmmakers to do for years, which is making mid-budget movies that allow them to take risks and also be aware that they are going to be able to financially recover from this. Shyamalan has been one of the few directors who has still been able to create incredible and interesting films because of the budgets that he works with. And since they're so low, he's able to get a lot of movies made. Look at the last 3 films he's made in the post-pandemic era where a lot of directors are struggling to get films off the ground. He had a film about a beach that makes you old, then he had a film about the apocalypse that could only be stopped if a happy couple believes these 4 people that they have to unalive themselves, and finally a film where a serial killer Josh Hartnett has to escape a Taylor Swift concert. No one other than maybe Steven Soderbergh is putting out as many films as Shyamalan, and no one is making as many unique films, other than like maybe Joel Haver, but does that count? Sure, they aren't all great. I think Knock at the Cabin is a lot better than the film about the beach that makes you old, but I still remember Old. It had one of the creepiest and disturbing scenes that I've seen in a horror film, and if you asked me to give you a scene from Halloween Kills, which also came out in 2021, I'm cooked. I don't remember anything, but at least I remember the beach that makes you old. Shyamalan right now is bringing a freshness and creativity that is lacking right now in modern Hollywood. There aren't that many films that are taking risks. And then there's a director like Shyamalan, every time putting his heart and soul into these films that he genuinely cares about, and ever since he stopped trying to pander to the big Hollywood blockbusters, ever since he got back to his low budget roots, his films have been unique, risky, and creative, and sometimes they will just floor you with how great they are. Split is absolutely great, Knock at the Cabin is really unique, and Trap is just so much fun. And I wish more filmmakers like Shyamalan were getting smaller budgets to be able to create super unique and weird films that we could get every few years, because man, having unique individual filmmaker voices is so exciting and thrilling when there's just so much generic slop out there. And all I can hope for Shyamalan is that he keeps on swinging.